Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning, and we start our show with some old school baseball. Yesterday, the Reds and Giants, we make this up because the Reds are coming to Minneapolis tonight, had a little bean brawl yesterday. This has been festering basically for the last 3 days. Spencer Steer, former Twin prospect, got beaned there. Willie Adames for the Giants gets a little taste of it in the top of the 8th inning and gets beaned. Mind you, the game at that point is, well, I mean, it's 3-0 in the top of the 8th inning. It's not necessarily the game's out of reach, but the Reds decided that was the time to get back. So temperatures, again, are hot. So we go to the bottom of the ninth. This is the final out of the game. The Giants get the strikeout to end the game. And afterwards, then it decided to get heated up here where both benches decide the game is over. And both benches decide to clear because this had been going on for the last 3 days. Matt McLean was part of it as well for the Reds. Just baseball always makes me laugh on what gets people upset and what doesn't. The Wind snapped a 4-game losing skid for San Francisco and avoided them getting swept. The Reds had hit home runs in 7 straight games prior to yesterday, and it just festered over. Now, we'll see that Cincinnati team here tonight at Target Field. We'll preview that coming up later on the show. And with that, we say good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hot Mic on this 17th day of April 2026. Great to be with everyone here as we wrap up the week in style with it being 30 degrees outside. So hope you enjoyed that 50-degree temperature dip that we had between yesterday and today because it felt fantastic. It was a steamy one, excuse me, here in our office because I don't think they were ready to turn the air conditioning on yet. I feel that. We broke at our house just for a little bit, but now you got to have the heat back on, at least for the next couple days. But it apparently going back to 70 next week. By the time the NFL draft is here, which is now we can say less than a week away from that being ready to rock and roll. A lot to get to today. We're on the doorstep of now the NHL and the NBA playoffs each begin tomorrow. We've got the last 2 play-in games tonight in the NBA, which will now complete the 16-team tournament. The NHL regular season officially came to an end last night. While you were sleeping, the NHL decided, because I got the email after I went to bed. What time did they send me out the full schedule here? It came at 11:45 last night, the full playoff schedule, which we'll show you for the Wild in a second. The Wolves start tomorrow, as do the Wild, with Denver. Game 1 tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 at Ball Arena in Denver. And then right back at it on Monday night with a late tip at 9:30. 9:30. And then 8:30 for game number 3 on Thursday, and then a week from tomorrow on WDAY with a 7:30 tip. The big question, obviously, surrounding this basketball team is what are they going to look like? We have not seen them fully healthy probably in the last 2 months. Can Jaden McDaniels get back to where he was? Is Anthony Edwards close to 100%? Can Julius Randle be as unstoppable as he was in last year's postseason? Can Naz Reid, who's been battling injury, is he healthy and ready to go? Can they flip the switch against a Denver team that beat them 3 out of 4 times in the regular season? They have the best player in the world, in Nikola Jokic, who has nearly had a triple-double in every game this season against Minnesota. Now, this is not a carbon copy. These are not the same two teams that played 2 years ago when the Wolves beat Denver in 7 in the Western Conference semifinals. Wolves are not the same team. Denver, frankly, is not the same team. But they still have Jamal Murray. They still have Aaron Gordon, who's really, really good. Christian Braun can knock down threes. Yesterday, before the Wolves left, here's Anthony Edwards on them turning the switch and getting Jaden McDaniels back healthy.
Getting rhythm, like getting used to taking my shots, getting my shots back, getting comfortable back on the court, running up and down, sliding on defense, and I think the main thing is getting back in shape. Jaden is so skilled offensively. We're telling him now, just go be you. Like, if you like your matchup, attack him every time. So, yeah, I've been talking to him like, hey, go be you, bro. Like, don't think about no bad shot. Any shot you take is a good shot. So we need him to be Jaden McDaniels.
Boy, if he's Jaden McDaniels, they're going to win. Because when he cooks, the Wolves normally win. And that's the really interesting backstory, I guess. Maybe it's not the right word, surrounding this playoff series. Is if it does not go well and Denver wins this in 5, Denver wins it in 6, what's the future of this basketball team look like come later this summer? Do they blow it up? Does Chris Finch come back? That's all, I think, lying out there for what Tim Connolly could potentially do. I think there's only 2 untouchables on this roster, Ant and McDaniels. You heard me clamor. I did not want them to trade Jaden McDaniels. If they're really hot on Giannis Antetokounmpo, they very well could go get him in the offseason. Personally, I think they need to find a point guard that's not Giannis. Let's see what happens. Can they do this again? It's been so much fun the last 2 springs to watch them play all the way to the Western Conference Finals. 2 years ago when they got there, you remember they got curb stomped by the Suns in the final game of the regular season, right? And we're thinking, oh my gosh, I mean, they have home court advantage, but Phoenix with Kevin Durant, and the Wolves swept the Suns. And then that series and then they go to win the first 2 games against Denver on the road. They were 6-0 to start that postseason, and then lost games 3, 4, and 5. Came back in the rout in Game 6, and then won Game 7 in the absolute classic in Denver before Luka did his thing with the Mavericks, and they lose in the Western Conference Finals. Last year, right, they faced the Lakers, and everybody picked the Lakers. All the ESPN analysts, all of them, I think 10, picked the Lakers to beat the Wolves. And the Lakers win Game 1. And then the Wolves came back and curb stomped them. They won 4 straight. And then they get Golden State with Steph Curry gets hurt in Game 1. And they beat the Warriors in 5. And then, of course, Oklahoma City did what they were going to do. Now, is it carbon copy again? Because I looked this morning, all the ESPN analysts, all 12 of them polled, have picked Denver to beat Minnesota. Not one of them picked the Wolves to win. And that they may very well be right this time around. This is maybe not the same team that we've seen over the last couple of years, but Minnesota has thrived when everybody has picked against him. We shall see. Now, the other Minnesota team getting ready to go has a different playoff history. The Wild have not won a playoff series in 11 years. Think about that. 11 years. They have been dumped in the first round, if they've made it. Whether it have been the Blues, whether it have been Winnipeg. Vegas has clipped them a couple times. The Dallas Stars got them a couple years ago. And it is Dallas again. As I mentioned last night, the schedule was dropped for the entire playoff series. Game 1 is tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 in Dallas. Game 2 will be Monday night, 8:30. It's not the worst. On ESPN. Game 3 will be Wednesday. It's another 8:30 start in St. Paul. And then Game 4 comes up. Well, actually, we don't know yet on Wednesday. Do we not know of the rest of the series here? I don't know. Try the dates for the rest of the first round. Let me just double check on that for the playoff series here. because it came out at 11:45 last night. Yeah, Game 3 is Wednesday. It doesn't say that on our graphic. So Game 3 is Wednesday. Game 4 is Saturday. And then Game 5 is next Tuesday, April 28th, is when those games will be between the Wild and the Stars. Going to have some late nights here coming up. 8:30 starts on Games 2 and 3. So just get ready for it. We got 9:30 for the Wild on Monday, 9:30 for the Wolves on Monday, 8:30 for the Wild. Just get your Red Bull and get ready to stay up because we're going to have some late nights coming, which just goes to the territory, the part of the country we live in, that they're going to give the early tip times and face-off times to the Eastern Conference teams to start at 6 or 5:30, that invariably teams in this part of the world were starting at 8:30 or 9 o'clock or later. You remember last year the Wild and Vegas played a game at 10 o'clock that started Central Time. It was 8 o'clock Vegas time that they dropped the puck out there. But we'll see. Quinn Hughes was sick, was not on the ice yesterday. Not great. I mean, hopefully he'll be ready to go for tomorrow afternoon for Game 1 against a Dallas team that the Wild have plenty of history with. They just went down there last week, lost a crazy game to the Stars. Got to stay out of the penalty box. Dallas is really good with a man advantage. Going to be awfully interesting to see how that plays out. I'm really interested to see who is the starter in goal for Minnesota in Game 1. Do they go with Gus Bus, who has playoff history? Not a ton of playoff history, but has some. Or is it Wallstead that gets the start tomorrow? I have made it clear I would go with Wallstead, he'd be my guy, but we'll see what John Hines, the head coach of the Wild, decides to do. I will say this for sports fanatics out there who had their thrill last weekend with the Masters. Now, I mean, your cup is run over here, where you've got both postseasons going at the same time. And now, since NBC has come on board with the NBA, you have more outlets to actually take stuff in. Like tomorrow, if you're a basketball fan, Amazon Prime has 3 games exclusive tomorrow, including the Wolves game. I'll make sure we hit that hot and heavy later in the show. And then ABC, WDAY, we've got the late game tomorrow night with the Rockets and the Lakers. Tomorrow, ESPN has all the hockey games. So if you're looking for the NHL, ESPN's got you covered, including the Wild. Then Sunday, TNT's got a couple games, which they never would have before because they had basketball. And then ESPN's got games Sunday night, which they couldn't because they had Sunday night baseball. And then it flips for you basketball nuts out there. Sunday, we've got 2 games early, noon and 2:30 on Sunday. And then NBC makes its return to the postseason. First time there's going to be a postseason basketball game on NBC since 2002. Which I believe was Lakers-Nets in the NBA Finals, if I remember correctly. With the Pistons playing either the Magic or the Hornets, we'll find out the winner of that in the play-in tonight. And then Trailblazers-Spurs to wrap it up. San Antonio's my pick. I'm on the Spurs bandwagon here to watch Wemby go and do his thing. That's the late game on Sunday. So soak it in, man. There is no. It looks like, at least tonight, tomorrow, not going to be great to be outside. Even for you golf nuts out there, good luck because it's 30 degrees. And if you go playing golf, you've got plenty to go indoors and watch over the next little bit. A couple other news and notes here before we start our show. The basketball portal window officially closes for the women on Monday, the men on Tuesday. That means you're going in. You still have plenty of time to decide where you want to go. One decision was made last night. Noah Federson is on his way to the Big 12. The Menominee, Wisconsin native announced last night that he will be transferring to Colorado to spend his final year of collegiate basketball. The Summit League 6th Man of the Year came off the bench and was really good over the last 2.5 months, 3 months of the Bison season and helping NDSU win the regular season championship and the Summit League tournament, go to the NCAAs for the first time in 6 years. We'll head to Colorado coached by Tad Boyle. We had heard numbers-wise was upwards of more than 500,000 for Feddersen to go and transfer there. So that is now for the Bison players that have departed. That is the third known destination. Damari Wheeler-Thomas will play at Boise State. Noah Feddersen's going to play at Colorado. Emil Skuta announced earlier this week he's going to play at Portland State. We found that out, I believe, Wednesday when we were up at softball back in the Big Sky. Skuta was at Sac State before coming to NDSU. So he's on his fourth separate school. With Central Michigan, Sac State, North Dakota State, and now Portland State. The other out there, Travion Carson, not yet. We don't know. Max Marley, Dom Clay, Riley Saunders, the other ones that are out there, we don't know their future destinations as of yet. Also, there's going to be a change on the Bison basketball bench next year. Had heard this was in the works. Josh Jones is moving on. Jones, who's been an assistant at NDSU for the last 6 years, came in prior to the start of the 2020 season. It has been, I think, Dave Richmond's right-hand man in terms of scheduling, certainly. Will be moving on to Akron. He'll be heading to the MAC. New staff there that got hired a couple weeks ago with a new coach coming in. Josh, an Illinois guy, came in and did a heck of a job recruiting. Was a really good recruiter, specifically in his home area. But he's moving on now after, you click on the old website and it says not found there. That means it's officially gone. But he's gone to Akron, joining the new staff there. Dustin Ford, who's the new head coach of the Zips, announcing Todd May and Josh Jones as assistant coaches. So Josh, one of my favorite people. Always love visiting with him before games. Was always a good resource on scheduling, especially if I had any questions on if they were coming along on anything. Jonesy was great on that. So best wishes to him and his family as he's heading to Akron. So not only does Dave Richmond have to figure out his basketball team, which I believe he added another player last night. We're working on whom. He also has to hire a new assistant. So Luke Streggy still there. Spencer Wilker, as far as we know, still there. But Josh Jones moving on after 6 seasons on the Bison bench. So one other Summit League note. We know Marley Curtis from UND entered the portal. His twin brother Micah went in yesterday as well. So I believe that's 9 total from UND. Fighting Hawks have added a couple plate pieces as well so far, but and UND's got to make a hire as well. One of Paul Sather's assistants just got a new NAIA head coaching gig. So the comings and goings of mid-major basketball, it can be head-spinning at times, but nothing short for us to chat about, certainly in the middle of April. We have a packed show coming up for you here today on this Friday morning. Our guest lineup brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. In a few minutes, you'll hear from Fargo South's Reis Kessel, Bison sophomore tight end, ready for a big 2026. He burst on the scene last year as a redshirt freshman, became one of the Bison top deep threats last year. Now with the graduations of Bryce Lance, of Raja Nelson, of Chris Harris, how much more does Nathan Hayes target one Reis Kessel? We'll ask him about that coming up at 9:20. It is Friday. Cory Provus will join us as he does each and every Friday throughout the baseball season. Twins are in action tonight as they've got Cincinnati in town, a rare visit from the Reds, especially in April. We'll see if the Twins can keep their hot play going for the top team in the American League. That's coming up at 9:35. Our second hour, you'll meet one of the newest Bison women's basketball players from California. Maddie Muniz will join us after she's officially transferring in after spending the last 2 years at Fullerton. She'll come to North Dakota State to begin the back half of her collegiate career. And at 10:35, I was all excited to talk some baseball, and unfortunately there's no baseball to be had for the next couple days. Horace head coach Quinn Irey will join us. The Hawks, fresh off a sweep yesterday over West Fargo. They sit unbeaten in the EDC standings early on. We'll talk with Quinn about his baseball team coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Friday morning. So let's get it rocking. We'll take a break. We come back. The former Bruin will join us, Reis Kessel, about his expectations for 2026. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Next Friday, Bison football wrap up its spring practice. We will televise that here on WDAY Extra. Join us next Friday, 6:30 from the indoor complex on the north side of town for the final spring practice for North Dakota State. That's next Friday, 6:30 here on WDAY Extra. I've had plenty of people ask me if the Bison are doing a formal spring game, if they're doing a showcase like they have the last couple of years. They are not. This will be limited to, I believe, the Green and Gold Fund people that have donated. Some of the higher donations will be able to, I believe, call plays during this practice as well. But we'll be up there. Myself, Kyle Emanuel will be there. Sam Getzinger will be up there next Friday. Join us at 6:30. Give you the first introduction to the 2026 Bison football team in anticipation of the inaugural year of FBS football in the Mountain West Conference. So that's coming up a week from today. Excited about that. Coincides with the second and third round of the NFL draft, so we'll be keeping our eyes on that as well. Be a great night for football. We're looking forward to that. Hopefully, weather-wise, will cooperate for us as well. Just looking early out here at the 10-day forecast on the old Storm Tracker app right now. It says cloudy, chance of showers, and 54. We can do that. What we can't do is 38 with a mix of snow like we have today. We're back inside for practice later today. The Bison will be up there for some more coverage. The last time we were up, we had a chance to visit with one Reis Kessel, Fargo's own, who blew up last year, came on the scene as the pass-catching threat at the tight end position. Now, that is a vastly different-looking group this year. Carson Williams, gone. Finn Diggins, gone. Now the most experienced guy is Kessel as a sophomore. After that, at that tight end position, the Bison have a combined 3 receptions, 2 for Caden Zenzen, 1 for Jet Zabel back in 2026. I had a chance to visit with Kessel about his bigger role coming this year and also the recruiting attention coming to his younger brother.
This spring ball is different than the past ones for you after getting on the field playing. Describe what this is like this month.
Yeah, it's been awesome. The energy's been high, the spirit's been high. The offense and defense are competing at a very high level, and it's just been awesome. I mean, I feel like for me, it's a lot different this year, obviously being a key part of this offense, like knowing I'm going to be a key part of this offense. And I've just been focused on the mental part of it, like putting more time in the film room, figuring out our defense, figuring out Mountain West defenses, and yeah, really just the mental part.
You snuck up on people last year. They didn't know anything about you. Describe you mentally preparing that they're going to see 81 out there. They know you're going to be a guy who's going to get the ball.
Yeah. It's going to be good. Like, I know that last year, like you said, they didn't really know who I was. I just kind of went out there and got catches. Now they're going to be playing. They're going to be more focused on me, more prepared for me. And I feel like I also have to take that and just go into the film room and knowing that, and I have to figure out the defenses more as well. So that's what I have to do for myself.
You came here, you walked on here. Describe overnight, you've been from a walk-on FCS guy, now you're an FBS player. Describe that mentally for you, how that changed in the span of 36 hours.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I mean, the whole team's just ecstatic. The spirits are so high about going up to the Mountain West. I mean, we're not going to treat it any different. We're going to prepare the same way we did in the Missouri Valley because they're also a great conference. But obviously, we're not going to be playing those teams like the Indiana States, the Murray States anymore. So we can't have a week off. We have to take every single week serious and just give it our all and prepare just like we do every other year. So
how different, Reis, now is the tight end position group with the guys that graduated? You play quite a bit. Caden's played a lot. Just now being looked on as an experienced guy, maybe a leader in the room with the guys that graduated.
Yeah, we've had a lot of seniority leaving the room, obviously. But we have a lot of good talent coming up, and I feel like that's a role that I've really took on as more of a leadership role. So I've kind of mentored the young guys, helped them learn the ropes of becoming a Bison. And yeah, we got some good young talent coming up, and I'm excited to see who's on the field this fall. So.
much do you pay attention to the NCAA stuff, the 5-for-5 talk that guys are going to get 5 years of eligibility now, and the portal changes and the NIL changes? You, as a young player, do you pay any attention to any of that stuff?
Not really, honestly. I'm honestly not online too much. I try and stay off of all that. I saw that one rule where they might take away you being able to show your legs or something. I don't really know. A lot of these rules are kind of goofy. I guess we'll just see what happens. I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to it, honestly.
Football for you? I mean, in class, obviously, and all but just being a 19, 20-year-old guy, that's way more important than worrying about what the NCAA is doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Tell me what it's like having a front row seat to what Baby Bro's going through. This is a little different. Your recruitment's a little different what he's doing.
Yeah, my recruitment's about the complete opposite of what he's going through. It's awesome just to see him getting these offers, these looks. I mean, I hope he becomes a Bison. Let's try and get him on that train, but I guess we'll see what happens. It's awesome. I mean, it's funny because he asked me what should I do with this coach? What should I do with this coach? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't go through this process. But yeah, no, it's been awesome. I'm really happy for him. He really deserves it. So,
describe your own personal goals. I know you want the team to win, but for yourself, what do you set goals for 2026?
I don't know if I set any goals stat-wise, but I really just want to help out the team the best I can. Whatever coach puts me in. I know I've been working to be more of a 4-down tight end, so I can be on the field every down, not just third down like I was this year. So I've really put a lot of work in the weight room in this off season, and I've gained about 8 to 10 pounds of muscle. So that's really shaping up for me to go out there and block and catch balls. So.
Is that when you say a 4-down tight end, you're talking about being available in the run blocking game and just being stronger and being a road grader?
I put on a lot of strength and a lot of weight in this off season, and I've seen it apparent during spring ball, and I think the coaches have too, and we're just going to see where that goes, and I'm happy to expand my role, because if you want to play the next level, you have to be able to do it all, and that's obviously my goal. So
good stuff there with Fargo South's own Reis Kessel about his expectations for this upcoming year, and chatting a little bit about, obviously, with his younger brother Drew going through, wrapping up his junior year at Fargo South, and a bunch of offers out there ranging from Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota State's obviously on there. Excited to see that, and excited to see what number 81 will do this upcoming year. We've seen his ability to get downfield, make plays, but as I asked him, he snuck up on everybody last year. That is not going to happen, especially now moving to the Mountain West. Good stuff there. We'll have some Bison football chatter coming up later on in the show, but we need a break. We come back, time to talk some Twins with our guy Cory Provus as they get ready to host the Reds coming up tonight. That's coming up when we come back.
Deep to left center field. Back it goes and gone. The 0-2 pitch. Hey, struck him out swinging at 101. Swinging a drive. Left field and deep. Back it goes and gone. And the Twins walk it off again.
All right, it is Friday at 9:35, which means we visit with our guy Cory Provus each and every Friday as we get ready for the Twins and the Reds coming up at Target Field for the start of a 3-game set. We were just chatting here off air yesterday. 80 degrees here, was beautiful down there. I'm sure you loved your day off, but that could have been an okay day to be at the ballpark as well, though.
Yeah, it was gorgeous here, as it was, I think, record-setting temperatures for some throughout the upper Midwest yesterday. It was amazing here yesterday. And, yes, ideally you'd love to have that same kind of weather at the ballpark, but at the same time, when you're coming off 15 in a row, right, I don't want to be stuck indoors. So the idea that we got outside yesterday and I was playing with my kids in the backyard, it was a great off day, but yeah, it looks like the weather's going to be a little dicey here the next couple of days.
So we started our show with the highlights, quote unquote, of what happened at the end of the game with the Reds and the Giants yesterday. I know you're following the Twins, but what do you make of what went down for the last 3 days between the Reds and Giants?
You know, I love John Boy Media, but I think what John Boy Media has done is that it has led all of us to dive into lip reading more and more, right? And I think it goes back a couple of nights ago when Steer was upset. Spencer Steer, a former Twin minor leaguer, and they traded him in the Jorge Lopez trade a few years ago, and he's had a nice career with the Reds. He dropped a swear word and said throw the ball, and then he got a knock, and then the next day, I'm sure after that game that night, the Giants saw that. They wanted to retaliate, hit him his first at bat. Then I think Willie Adames got hit. And then I think one more, Sal Stewart got hit late in the ball game as well for the Reds. And so the bench is emptied. But, nothing's going to happen from it. I don't think any suspensions are going to come from that. It just is what it is. And the Reds won the series. I mean, they lost the game yesterday, but they won the series over the Giants. But they'll meet again in San Fran later on this season. So that should make it a bit more spicy when they meet again.
Yeah, it's just baseball. I mean, they can't call them brawls. There weren't any punches thrown yesterday. Just I wonder your perspective on this. When the guys from the bullpen come in, what are they doing? Because they're late to the party.
They're doing nothing but conditioning. That's all they're doing is they get some running in. It is so rare to see, and I'm glad it doesn't happen. I don't want to see a full-out brawl on the field, and that's not what I want to see in our game. But it's team unity. It's what you're supposed to do. And, the bullpen the Twins have right now, they're going to go when Latrell Hawkins says go.
Yeah.
So they're going to lean on that guy to be like, go.
Yep.
I mean, Justin Tope is probably the most seniored reliever in terms of bullpen experience there, but the bullpen coach has been through it more than anybody else. So he's going to be the one to say that if it gets to that point, I hope it doesn't, he's going to be, guys, go. And then they'll follow his lead.
So a week ago when you were on in Toronto, we were chatting about Brooks Lee, got to get going. Well, he got going in a big way. What happened over the last 7 days for him to suddenly turn into Hank Aaron?
Confidence. I think confidence. I think that swing, 8 days ago now, that swing against the Tigers just changed it's what it seems like, Dom, the trajectory of his season. It's coming up with a game-winning knock 8 days ago against the Tigers, and then had an RBI going in, 7? Yeah, I think he added to it now. He's got an RBI, 7 or 8 games in a row? It's an amazing streak that he has going. So I think confidence is really – and I hope Shelty doesn't move him. Keep him down in the lineup where he's at. I don't think you rush to any judgments and say, hey, let's move him up. No, the other guys are doing fine. Yeah. The offense right now has been a surprising form of consistency here. I did not think, the mantra for Shelty in spring training, and you hear it now in the regular season, was hunt the good. Spring training, there wasn't much good. I don't know what good there was. It was a fun saying, and the T-shirts are cool, but outside of a couple of guys here and there, the numbers weren't great. There wasn't much good to hunt or even find or discover in spring training, but now that's changed. There's a lot of good to like with this team, and the last 8 days, Brooks Lee has been really in the center of it all.
You mentioned confidence, and he seemed to have it sometimes last year, and then it went away. Just how much can you? And baseball's such a mental game, Corey, that it could go away like that tonight if he doesn't perform well.
Yeah, you hope that his experience and just the guy that is his baseball acumen and just growing up around the game with his dad, that he is well aware of how this is going to go. Now, to be fair, I could say this about Brooks. You could say this about Royce Lewis and a lot of guys. Up until they reach the big leagues, what struggle did they know?
Yeah.
I mean, athletically, what struggled? I'm not saying they were always hitting 800. They had their slumps. I'm not going to say that. But their slumps lasted maybe a game or two. It wasn't lasting 2 weeks. These are number one first-round picks for a reason, because they were just so good, athletically gifted in a way that so few are. And this is the first time when they reach the big leagues that they really question themselves. Am I good enough? And that's the mental side of it. And that's so hard. And, it goes back to, I'm going to sidestep here, but it goes over to the Jarren Duran alleged incident that happened at Target Field a couple of nights ago. Yep. And I don't care if you're a Red Sox fan or what. I love the Netflix series that followed the Red Sox that was on last summer, and how what I gathered from that was not just how courageous Duran was for speaking up about how tough the game is mentally, and to the point where he's contemplated suicide.
Yes.
But I think that overall it showed the viewer, many players in that Boston team, but just the game in general, how hard this game is mentally, and you're going to fail far more often, Dom, than you will succeed. And I think we're seeing that. It's just hard for guys, especially like Royce and Brooks, who are these accomplished players, to see them really struggle for the first time in their athletic lives.
And you could see how it can go sideways really quick, right?
Sure, because you know that there's somebody coming for your gig.
Right.
There's somebody, and the Twins have a good system, and they have guys that are not far, they're not enabled.
Yeah.
They have accomplished players who are good players, who are in spring training, facing big league pitching, who are just playing 15 minutes across town. And then these guys, while they can't let that enter their mind.
Yeah.
It's human nature that it must. Knowing that, hey, I've got options. There's a guy there that's pretty good. How secure am I with my job? Well, performance will dictate that.
It's crazy. It's such a mental grind that we just maybe don't appreciate fully. And I'm glad you brought that up because that Netflix series was really illustrated that. Talk about another guy who had his own battles is Byron Buxton. Now is the all-time leader in home runs in Target Field history, and a couple bombs there. That Monday game was so strange. Can you explain? I mean, it's 11-1 before anybody, or 11-0 before anybody sat down. It seemed like
against Garrett Crochet.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about top 5 pitcher in the game.
Easy.
If not Tarek Skubal for the Cy Young this year, then Garrett Crochet's the number 2 choice, right? And going into the year, you felt. He's an ace of aces, and the Twins battered him. I mean, it was batting practice.
Yes.
That's what I said on one of the calls. It was batting practice against one of the best pitchers in the game. Yes, his velocity was down. The Red Sox are home this weekend against the Red Hot Tigers, who walked it off again yesterday. So I think a lot of eyes are going to be on the next Crochet start to see, okay, was that a blip? Is he back? Was that just he didn't have it that day? But there's going to be a lot of attention, I think, on that next start. But they've had these runs where, I think you see as many lefties as the Twins are seeing right now, Dom. There's something to be said. Okay, yes, every pitcher's different, but seeing it from that arm slot, I would think as a hitter in this lineup that is pretty much, you see the same guys against lefties, they just know it and they see it. They're not as shocked by it. Okay, the ball is going to come from here. It's going to go there. The pitch mix is going to be different, but I would think that just the visual nature of seeing a lefty, as Shelty Joyk, the Twins they're on pace to set like an April record with how many lefties tonight and tomorrow. 2 more lefties, by the way, thrown for the Reds. It's unbelievable. But I would think that you do get used to it to a point, that you get used to seeing all these lefties in a way that most teams don't.
Let's talk about a righty. Mick Abel was phenomenal the other night. I think that's what I saw the Star Tribune headline as well. His last 2 starts have been just tremendous, Corey. What do we make of this? And 10 strikeouts. This is really, really impressive so far.
So Joe Ryan towards the end of last year, I think it was even that last start, that Philly start with Abel was really good. And even some bullpen sessions that he watched. Joe Ryan was like, this guy has the potential to be a front-line guy. I mean, he's not a back-end starter. He is a front-line dude. And that's why he was a first-round pick. That's why he was, at the time when the Phillies drafted him, he was the number 1 high school pitching prospect in that draft. And the Twins parted ways with a great player, a guy that was beloved around here, dominant closer, but look what you got back.
Yep, right.
You got a young, controllable, potential front-line starter. I'm not going to say he's a 1, he's a 2, but he's a frontline guy. And these last 2 starts, but man, the stuff he had the other night was overpowering, and it was awesome to see that. I think it's lining up because the Mets are playing today. They were off yesterday. I think Tuesday's game is lining up with Mick Abel and Noah McLean for the Mets.
All right.
That's a great matchup. And if you haven't seen Noah McLean throw yet, and see the stuff with his breaking ball and his sweeper slider, how that moves, it is not normal. So if indeed that's the matchup on Tuesday, that's going to be fun to watch in New York.
Well, Abel, I think you called it 96 was his last strike in the 7th inning on Wednesday night, and that was coming in fast. And he was emotional after he got that strikeout as well.
So I said this at the end of that call, that a guy that he admired growing up was Max Scherzer. Mm-hmm. And if you look at Scherzer, he's emotional on the mound. And I know the Twins knocked him around, but I'm talking about prime Hall of Fame Max Scherzer. Don't talk to me. I'm going to throw this ball right through your face. That kind of guy. But that competitive nature of Scherzer is a guy that Abel admired growing up. And I think you see some of that he turns on a different switch when he crosses that line. And if he becomes this Scherzer-esque person on the mound every 5 or 6 days, fantastic. We'll take it every time he has the ball.
Last thing before we break here, give us the backstory. Where did Ryan Kreidler come from, and can this continue?
So we saw him with the Tigers in the past. That we did see. But I don't remember him much as an offensive player. He was a guy that I think played around. I remember him playing more left side of the infield than in the outfield with the Tigers. But the defense is his calling card. Okay. I mean, the defense, he is very good defensively, and that's why he and Tristan Gray were battling for that backup shortstop position. But Shelty liked the fact that Gray over Kreidler because he had a little more pop in his bat historically. And as left-handed dominant as the outfield is, it's a lot of right-handed hitters, switch hitters on the infield. So he wanted that left-handed bat, I think, over Kreidler. But now with Royce being out, Kreidler's had a chance to play. But, the home run the other night was amazing. But the one off Crochet was, I called him Giancarlo Kreidler, his next at bat, because the guy hit the ball 440 feet.
Yes.
That's like Stanton. That's Stanton area up there in left field. I mean, he and Caratini, man, they hit almost 900 feet of distance on their home runs off Garrett Crochet. Just added to the weirdness, the how unique and strange that night was, that it wasn't just the ball left the yard, but who hit him?
Right.
Who were the guys that hit him? It was Kreidler and Caratini that just mashed the ball to the third deck and left.
Just bizarre. The whole thing was bizarre that happened on Monday. Let's break. We come back. We'll chat about the weekend series with the Reds and look ahead to the upcoming week with the Twins. Back with more with Cory Provus here on a Friday morning right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour, back with Cory Provus. Twins and the Cincinnati Reds coming up here for a 3-game set. This is a team I guarantee that a lot of your listening and viewing audience do not know anything about. Give us the lowdown on the Reds and what we're going to see here for the next 3 days.
Well, it's a pair of 11-win teams that meet starting tonight. And I think a cool backstory is the kid that's starting for the Reds tonight. His name is Brandon Williamson. He's a Minnesota native. He's from Tremont, Minnesota. It's a small farm town in southwest of Mankato. It's a town of about 700 people and about 3 buildings, no stoplights. And he said he's going to have about 100 people at the game tonight, which I think is really cool. Yes. So the weather is going to be what it's going to be. He's somewhat familiar with it. This will be his 4th start, his 3rd one outdoors. His first 2 starts outdoors did not go well. His one really good start came in Miami. So either the roof was closed or it was a nice night. I don't know, but it wasn't what it's going to be here tonight. But he is a Minnesota kid, so that's always cool to see one of our own coming back and going to pitch here at Target Field. The Reds are – it's hard to – so they have 11 wins. High strikeout team offensively, high walk team offensively. Their offense is being carried right now by 2 guys. Ellie De La Cruz has been great at short, and Sal Stewart is a rookie first baseman. He's got 7 home runs already. He's been really good. But that's about it. Spencer Steer's okay, off to a decent start, not great. But if you look at their team stats offensively, Dom, at the bottom in just about every single category, their pitching has been okay, better bullpen numbers collectively than starts. Like Williamson's ERA is over 5. The kid going tomorrow's ERA is also over 5. And Brady Singer, an old friend, is going to be back at Target Field on Sunday. They have a Hall of Fame manager in the great Terry Francona, but it's their offense right now on their 11 wins. You can really point to 2 guys that have really carried that, in De La Cruz and Sal Stewart so far for the Reds.
There's no Hunter Green, which his name is always going to be attached with Royce Lewis as well. Is he back anytime soon? Okay.
Yeah, he's hurt right now. He's down right now. So the Twins they won't see him right now. And I think even the 3rd kid that was in that draft that Tampa Bay selected, it was a Brendan McKay. I think it was his name. He was the 2-way player. I think he's out of baseball right now. But look, Hunter Green's had some great moments and throws hard. Hopefully this is a setback for him. And I think Royce is eligible, Dom, to come back when the team starts that next road trip. So I'm going to try to dive into that a bit more when I get to the ballpark today to see if Royce if he's doing some baseball activity here this weekend, running the bases and just able to be around the guys more than just in the dugout in the clubhouse, but do some work on the field. And if so, then he would be good to go to come back and play on Tuesday.
Which would be in New York against the Mets, which I'm now contractually obligated to bring that up, even though I don't want to talk about my favorite team that can't get its way out of their own way right now. And then it's out of Tampa. So that's 2 quality teams the Twins will have. After Cincinnati, they got to go on the road next week.
Yeah, and I like the Rays. They're playing well. Took the series to Target Field, that last game, the extra inning game. And it'll be the Twins' first visit to Tropicana Field in a couple of years. with the hurricane damage, they played their games last year at the Yankees spring training stadium up in Tampa. So we'll be back in St. Petersburg and against the good Rays team. But the Mets, that's a mess right now. Those are 3 night games, by the way. So it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a travel. So the team should get to Florida at around 2, 3 in the morning on Friday. But I'll be with you. No problem. I'll still get up and do the show with you.
I appreciate that.
No problem on short rest on Friday.
The Mets are screwing the Twins over by playing a night game, which is so rare on a getaway day. I don't know why they do that. That doesn't really happen anymore, does it?
I would imagine the Mets, I would think for traffic reasons, but even though you take the subway there a lot, I just think that they are such a big name and have such high-profile players that when they're on the road, they probably get night games themselves. So I think when given the chance, they're going to give it back to the Twins. I don't know what happened last year. I feel like they played the last game on a day game because there was I think the Mets lost an early challenge, and then there was a controversial out call at first base that went the Twins' way that could have opened up a bigger inning for the Mets, so the Twins ended up winning that series. I just that's how it goes. I'm not too beat up about it. It is what it is. That bothers me more is when we come home.
Yes.
Like if we're going to another spot on the road, fine, but just the idea of being a dad and being a husband, just give us the chance to do that when we can. And so if we're going home to try to catch an event that one of our kids is doing, or even if it's to read our kids to bed, I think the game, should be better in doing that, which is why I think in the next CBA discussion, that's always a talking point about mandatory day games on getaway days. I know it's a priority for the players, but it's not at the top. But it's something that is certainly something that they talk about a lot.
How about this? And I can't believe who brought it up. I like this. I love this idea, actually, because I know the Mets and Cubs are playing this afternoon at Wrigley about having a mandatory afternoon Friday game. How would you make of that? Like, it doesn't have to be the Cubs, but at least everybody, there's a afternoon day game on Fridays throughout the year.
I like it, but look, I think the Cubs and Mets were both off yesterday.
Yes.
So that makes it easy. But if you're coming in, so this happened a lot when I was with the Cubs because they would always get night games. Right. And they would play Friday 120 games that we would often have night games in Tampa. I remember, and we fly home. We get home at 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, and the guys were back at the park 5 hours later. Right. I mean, these things would pop up because they gained the hour coming back, and there was always that little part of the rule that would factor in. I'm all for it, but in terms of now that everybody's playing each other, Dom, I think that's harder.
Yeah.
I think when you played more divisional games and you didn't play every team in baseball, I think that's harder to do because now you're traveling to the coast, both coasts, more than you did in the past, just based on this new schedule alignment.
Last thing before we let you go, the video went viral, I think, Wednesday night in Milwaukee. You called games there forever. How is it allowed to rain indoors when they have a enclosed stadium at Miller Park?
Because it's not completely sealed. And you would find the savvy season ticket holders who would know this, who would know exactly where their seats are, what the weather looks like, and they would bring their umbrella inside. So the game is going on, it's raining, but they have their umbrella up because they're well aware of my seat.
Yeah.
That the water does come through. So it's not completely sealed, and everybody's surprised by that. Yes. You can spot the season ticket holders in the crowd, Dom, because their umbrellas are up.
That's fantastic. Again, savvy baseball fans, they know what's going on. Hey, have a great call tonight. Thanks for doing this, and we'll see you next week in Tampa, okay?
Sounds good, Dom.
There he goes. Cory Provus joins us each and every Friday at 9:30. Twins in action tonight with the Reds, 7 o'clock there, and then a couple of day games coming up on Saturday and Sunday, 1 o'clock for each of those games, as we'll see if they can keep their good play going before they head on the road. It's the Mets next week and then Tampa. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. You'll meet the newest member of the Bison women's basketball team coming this way from California. Maddie Muniz will join us when Hour 2 of Hot Mic begins after this.
This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 here on a Friday morning, final hour of the week. Before we get out of here and enjoy the snow, apparently, that's set to come back, which for our next guest, that might scare her back to stay on the West Coast as we Mentioned earlier in the week, it's been a busy one coming and going for both Bison basketball teams. The North Dakota State men have added a pair of players. The Bison women have been busy as well. They added their first off-season transfer addition by way of Cal State Fullerton. Maddie Muniz will join the Bison roster for this upcoming fall. After spending 2 years at Cal State Fullerton, started her collegiate career at Idaho, and now she'll be officially a Bison. We got the press release yesterday, and she joins us here this morning. We're waking it up bright and early out on the West Coast. First off, congrats. Thanks for doing this. Give us the I'm always fascinated on the portal stuff of how the connections. How did this one come about?
This one was fun. It was through like a mutual that they knew, and then I also knew, and then I had also reached out kind of right when the portal opened. And so, yeah, it kind of just both kind of met in the middle, and it was a nice little, it works fast. It goes really, really fast. It's like, we kind of refer to it as like speed dating.
Yes.
You're in and out, you kind of get what you like and not like. So yeah, it was fast, but it was for mutual.
All right. So what did you like? What did you hear, or what did you know that say, this is where I could see myself going to school?
Yeah. So this being my third school, I've definitely like taken my time to, it's about the people for me and the culture and the communities. And so I think with them, they just really showed me that they wanted me. And there was a lot of talk about just the potential I'm going to have coming in and what they see that they like from me, where I can contribute on the team. And so for me to hear those things and to feel wanted somewhere is huge for me. So yeah, just like the culture that you can tell is already built there was huge.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You had 3 different coaches at your 2 different styles. Is that right?
Yes.
Man.
Yep. I'm going on to my 4th coach. Yep.
So just how disjointing is that? Like, you get recruited by one, and then either they leave or let go. How difficult is that?
It's been challenging, but I think for like the best ways, I've learned to like adapt to a new playing style every year. I've learned to adapt to new coaches and new staffs, new teams. So it's like productive in those ways to where I get all these experiences and all these different challenges to face.
Yeah.
But it's definitely been hard just to create a foundation somewhere and to really like create a family behind you and a culture. Like, you're changing different things every year. And so I think it's just been challenging to really create like a home base somewhere. So I think this is really going to be like a new home for me and somewhere that I can build a foundation, because they've just had such success with their cultures and their families. So yeah.
So I know the Bison, I know they played Pepperdine last year. It's a different league than what you played in. As I'm looking, the team, I don't know if the Bison have played anybody in the Big West. So give us for the last couple of years being in that league, what's the traits of that conference, and what kind of players are in the Big West where you just come from?
You see a lot of teams that have a lot of 3-level scorers, really good guard-heavy teams, but a lot of them have had coaches that have been around for a while. So you see just a lot of like programs built just around their players, and like they've just had a foundation built for a long time. So I think it's really common just to see a lot of the same girls within the Big West, because everyone just kind of stays where they're at, and they're built from the beginning and they finish their years there. But a lot of shooting, a lot of like setup plays and very foundational stuff. So I think this last year, my team very much took the Big West by storm. Like, we came in and played a whole different style of basketball that people weren't used to seeing. So it was very different for the Big West. But yeah, just a lot of like foundationally built teams with older seniors, grad students.
Are you getting people asking you what in the world you're doing going from California to North Dakota?
Absolutely, every day. Yes.
What's been your response?
So I grew up in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the snow and everything. We moved to Arizona for years, so it kind of went away. But my parents this past year moved back to Wisconsin, and so they're in Waunakee, and so to be closer to them has been like my biggest goal through all this. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, sorry. So I have 4 younger siblings, and so having them around and throughout my career and stuff has been like a big part of it. So going closer for them to be around has been my main thing that I tell everyone. I'm like, I'm going closer to family. I get to see them, and they get to be a part of it.
Your mom and dad were hoopsters as well. Were they any good?
I would like to say so. I mean, I think I learned a little bit from them. Everyone says I got my shooting from my mom, so.
And she played at Gonzaga, correct?
Yeah, her first year, and then she transferred back to College of Idaho to play golf.
Oh, no kidding. All right.
Yeah.
That's a good combo there. What's been the reaction since you made this public, if this is where you're going to go?
They've been ecstatic. They have been so excited to tell anyone and everyone. And I think a lot of like the Midwest people get it more than like people on the West Coast because they understand the hype around NDSU. But they have been so excited, and they're just my little brothers are excited. They're like, who can we tell? Like, can we go get some T-shirts? Like, they're so excited. So it's gonna be fun.
When you were visiting with Jory, with Dylan, what stood out of it? Say, this is what I need to hear, and what did they tell you about their team that's coming back this upcoming year?
Just that they had all their foundational players back, and they weren't losing a lot, which to me says a lot about a coaching staff that's been there forever. Is like, if you're not losing a ton of girls every year besides like your seniors, that speaks levels. And another thing too was his award that he got, the KYAO Coach of the Year award. So I got the KYAO Servant Leader award, and so I kind of understood the backgrounds, all of that. So I think just even going into a program knowing that your head coach is receiving a national award like that is huge, because that takes a lot of recognition from a lot of people, and I think it just speaks volumes, like the type of people they are, the cultures they have, and like the communities they've raised around there. And even just throughout announcing my commitments and stuff, like with the girls reaching out and commenting and just all those things, like it just shows that it is like a very like close knit family, and it's going to be a good like culture to go into.
Did you get to meet anybody on the Zoom phone call or not yet? This is going to be brand new when you get here.
Brand new when I get there.
But see, you've done this
exciting.
before, though. So it's old hat to you, but that's still got to be jarring, right?
1000%. I think this last year prepared me a lot. So I was one of 3 returners to our Cal State Fullerton roster. So I think just like going into a new whole new team every year, I'm kind of like excited to see the new faces and get to know people. I think it's just something that I've kind of adapted to doing now. So
you mentioned your shooting. Describe your game when you're out there for people that are going to see you for the first time, Maddie. How would you describe yourself on the floor?
I think after this past year, I would say definitely a 3-and-D player. We got after on the defensive end this last year, so I think that was something I really had to add to my game and get sharp at. So defense has definitely been like a highlight for me this past season, but then even just shooting, I think this last season was an eye-opening season because I did struggle a little bit in the beginning to kind of get my grounding with like the new style of play and the new foundation I was in. And so when I went 6 for 6, I think it was just a show that I am a really great player, and I just have to have the confidence behind me to go do what I can do and everything. So I think that was like just a good turning point to understand like I'm like, this is my game, and I'm really good at it when I like know what I'm doing.
So we showed a little highlights of that night against Riverside. What was that like afterwards?
It was the most insane experience because in the moment I didn't know. In the moment I was like, I think that's everyone's like getting hype, and I'm like, okay, like I get it. Like I know, like it's cool. Like I made a couple threes, but then everyone was like, no, like you're 100% right now, and I was like, oh yeah, like I didn't even realize. And my coach was calling like back-to-back plays, and in the moment you're just like playing, you have no clue, you're just out there going. And so it was just a super fun experience, and I had the most supportive teammates, and so they made it so fun to be a part of that.
I have to ask, the Bison football team is moving to the Mountain West this upcoming year, and they're going to Hawaii. You went to Hawaii with your basketball team. Can you give us just what that travel experience is like and what the experience is playing on the island?
Yeah, it's honestly so fun. And they usually did it to where we always had our bye week that when we went to Hawaii, so we always got an extra few days there, and just I think it's just a great team bonding experience because you're going so far. You're going to be on an island where all you have to do is hang out with each other and get some time. And I think too, just it's a different scenery. So I think just to go somewhere like that's so much fun and has so much to explore and do is just so fun. And honestly, I will say their crowds do make it a fun place to play because you have so many fans and they're all cheering against you. But at the same time, it's just really cool to see like how many fans they pack it with.
Was it like tiring getting back I know I was looking at you guys didn't play again, though, for another week, so you had time to adjust to come back, correct?
Yeah. It's a tiring trip. It goes fast, and then you're playing at 10 o'clock your time because it's only 7 o'clock in Hawaii.
Right.
So it's hard in that ways. And time change is always difficult, but for us, it was pretty easy to adapt back because we had a couple days in between to get ourselves back in our groove.
You know, I'm looking at the places you went. There are some nice destinations. I'm not sure the Summit League can match that, but what do you know about the league you're getting yourself into?
So I know that there's some great competition, first of all. We played, obviously Denver this past season, and they were just a tough team. And so I expect that from, I think, everyone, just like that tough grittiness, like throughout the conference of you're just going to have to get out there and like be the tougher team. And even watching back on NDSU's games and everything, like you can tell like they're going to go score. And so I think it's just a very fun league to just go watch. Like you're going to go see some high scoring games and you're going to see girls put the ball in the hoop. And I think that's just like a fun style of basketball.
So what's ahead now? What's on the calendar for you to get here? Do you know yet, or is that still kind of up in the air?
Still kind of up in the, I know I'll be there the end of May
for
sure to like move in and everything before like practice, like summer starts and everything. But yeah, finish out school here and then head up north.
I am interested. I know you were at Idaho, which they have football, but you're at a school that doesn't have football, and certainly NDSU does. What is that dynamic like at a school that doesn't have it? How different is that? If you understand what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, it's actually quite different, just because you see the level of sports. How do I say, like interest drop. Because they draw in all the fans, all the money, and especially like they used to have football, and you kind of hear the stories of just how much more their athletic programs were known when they had football. So I think it just is definitely a drop off, and like we're known for baseball, and so that's been obviously helpful. But even these past couple of years, like it's just been a drop off in like Fullerton like support, because we don't have like it's a commuter school too, so we don't have a ton of like the student presence and everything all the time like most of these schools do, so it does make a little bit of a difference.
I really appreciate you doing this. Last thing, the high school basketball you grew up with in Arizona, I know it's really, can you give us just what that was like on a night-to-night basis playing where you played?
Yeah, so my freshman year was awesome. I played on varsity, and I also started playing basketball really, I guess you could say, basketball became my primary sport when I became a freshman in high school. So I was playing soccer and then going back and forth. And so I gave up soccer and went straight to basketball. So for me, playing on varsity and everything was such a cool experience. And our team they were pretty good. And then my experience, my sophomore year, COVID happened. And so I decided to go play prep basketball, because it was just somewhere we knew we could play without getting shut down or like told we can't play. So I went to go do that, and I think it was the best thing for me, because with me starting so late, all I needed was the game competition and being able to like get that under me and get some experience under me. So that was huge for me to be able to just go play through all of like the COVID and everything happening. And I was playing with some of the top girls in the state every day. They took everyone from the top teams in high school and brought them all and made one powerhouse team. And so it was really fun. And I think that's what jump-started my career to just like get me better and better, was playing with these top athletes that are already going D1 and everything. And then going back my senior year, I had a lot of experience under me, so I was ready to go in and just have a fun year. And we went further, the furthest we did in school history, to the Elite Eight, and we won a lot of games. We had a lot of student sections. Like we just started that trend for it, and it was a really fun experience to see and just watch it all unfold over time.
I really appreciate you getting up early and doing this morning. I would say get a winter coat. I'm sure your parents have told you that since they're in Wisconsin, but it won't be like this when you get here at the end of May. Appreciate it. Congrats, and look forward to meeting you in person when you get up here in a couple months, okay?
Thank you so much.
Maddie Muniz joining us, the newest Bison women's basketball player transferring in after spending the last 2 years at Cal State Fullerton. She'll be part of the Bison roster for next year. Jory Collins still got some pieces to add as well, but got a shooter and play some defense. That's the way you're going to get on the floor if you're going to play for Jory. Let's break. We come back. Got some emails to get to, and also an update on a big recruiting weekend coming up here in Fargo. A few other topics we'll get to as well. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Maddie Muniz for joining us. That was good stuff. Appreciate her coming on and chatting about her experience about transferring into NDSU. Let's get catch up on a couple emails here before we get Quinn Irey to join us here. Dom, another reason I refuse to participate in funding NIL. What general manager could keep his job giving contracts of the size we are seeing to players that Bill Parcells would easily describe as just another guy at their previous locations? Schools are wasting our money on very ordinary players. That is a byproduct, I think, of, frankly, some really bad agents out there. That's what Craig Bohl was trying to address when we played his interview earlier this week on the and I say the bad agents, and I don't necessarily mean agents in the typical sense. I mean just people representing college sports out there right now. Just nasty stuff. It really is, and just not in the best interest of what the student athlete needs to hear. I think we had it on earlier this week. A guy said, well, I'm averaging, or I've spoke with at least a couple coaches on the feedback from the Shanley story. I got a couple other coaches that reached out to me, and I'll just pass along this one story of a high school athlete that was barely playing on one team, averaging like 1.5 points a game. And he went to his head coach and said, do you think I'm Division II worthy? And the head coach says, no, you're not playing. The athlete responded, well, my trainer thinks so. And that's the kind of bad advice I'm talking about that's out there, that there's just so much misguided info. And this traces back to our conversation we had to start the week of being honest with kids is the best possible solution here. You're not as good as maybe you're being told you are. Could certainly squash probably 30% of this. Could nip it in the bud at least about before the train gets rolling, to think that you're a Division I worthy, you are D2 worthy of getting millions of dollars in the transfer portal in the NIL world is just, that's how we've been led astray. We're now, to the emailer's point, where you get average players that are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't think Noah Federson's not an average player. He's a good player. He's an all-league caliber player, and he's going to get paid for that. Look at Sha'Carri White, was a first-team or second-team all-team selection and got over $1.5 million. That's what the market can command. Then you don't apologize for being able to get it. What the system is completely out of whack, and that they have nobody to blame on that but the coaches themselves. I got nobody feeling sorry, certainly on this show, about that. That's just my 2 cents. This is one high major coach to the field of 68 on the portal. I've long accepted the chaos this time of year as part of the job. We all know there are ways to improve it. Having said that, I do think it has added in a positive way to the offseason interest in college basketball in a similar way that free agency has helped the NBA. The biggest challenge these last few years has been figuring out what numbers are, quote, real or embellished when it comes to NIL offers when speaking with agents, which is why we have just reached out to other coaches and staffs we trust when we have heard they are involved to get the real numbers. That's smart. Just cut out the middleman in that. Go to the actual coach and say, what is this guy worth? What is this player worth in terms of NIL that we think can be affordable? I do think on the part where it's added in a positive way to the offseason interest in college basketball, that can be debated. I think there are a lot of people that just shake their heads, especially in the Summit League, when they see, South Dakota lost their entire team. North Dakota lost their entire team. North Dakota State lost most of its entire team. That brings up negative connotations on it. And I would say it's, for us here, it's unbelievable content. Unbelievable. Especially this time of year. You look outside, we're not playing any spring sports, and frankly, I'm not going to be talking about any spring sports here locally until we get to May. That's just not my jam. I did that when I was anchoring the sports every night, that, there's only so much NFL draft content we can have, and we're going to have plenty of that next week and leading up to Thursday and Friday. But for me, this is great. Hey, we get to meet new players. You've met a couple over the last few days. Find out where the other players are going. That to me, I'm intrigued on. I'm sure for others, like rolling their eyes, like, nah, just give me the bat. And I fully understand it as a fan. Like, how can I support the team when it's constantly changing? And that is a great point that I don't have a response to. That if you're actually a fan of the school, you cheer the school and who represents said school. You could get behind it in 15 years ago that you knew, well, these players are redshirting here. They're going to be 4-year players. They're going to be here the entire time, and it's going to be a way to get behind them. Certainly in the men's game, that is not the case anymore. That it's a 1-year deal. I hope you appreciated Travion Carson, what he was able to do. He was really impressive. Markai Strickland came in, gave us some great dunks during his 1 year here in town. It's not like Trayvon Wright, who came here and gave us 4 years of rim rockers at the BSA. It's not like the 4 years of Ben Woodside playing here and giving us shot after shot that I can think of at the top of my head, like 3 or 4 right now I can think of that he made, or Brett Winkleman going up and making amazing plays. It's not the era we live in anymore. It's now I'd say it's literally really appreciate the name on the front of the jersey, especially in the era of men's college basketball right now. All right, we're due for a break. I'm not talking about spring sports. We're going to do one now. When we break, come back, we'll chat on the first place team in EDC baseball right now. It's the Horace Hawks. Their head coach, Quinn Irey, will join us when Hot Mike returns after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour of the week. Just looks cold from that shot here, which is unfortunate for all of our spring sports teams. They got into a groove this week. They were finally able to get outdoors, whether it was golf, whether it was soccer, whether it was softball or baseball. In fact, our next guest, they were actually playing yesterday, I'm sure in shirt sleeves out in West Fargo, and now they need about 8 layers if they were to try to play today. It's great to have Quinn Irey back with us. Horace, head baseball coach, as the Hawks off to a great start. They swept West Fargo yesterday. Were you out in shirt sleeves, I imagine, right? Coaching third base?
It's kind of funny how that game started. We were, in our short sleeve shirts and had a pretty good sweat going. I think game time temp at the start was close to 80. Yeah. And then by the time that second game started, everyone started putting their layers on and jackets. And I almost put a stocking hat on. So I don't know if I've ever seen quite a swing in weather in a matter of an hour and a half over a doubleheader of baseball. So, but no, glad we got both games in last night.
Well, we were visiting off air. You're supposed to play today. How early did you figure out this week that, we're not playing today?
Yeah, I've been texting Nate Silleru, the head coach at Fargo South, back and forth. And, the big thing is we're trying to, obviously take care of our athletes as far as arm care, and playing in these types of conditions is not going to be ideal. So we were texting earlier in the week that, Friday forecast does not look great at all. Let's try and play our conference games when it's nice out if we can. We obviously have restrictions when it comes to weather and the real feel. And I think the real field today is going to be like 13 at game time was supposed to be. And no, I really want some of my guys out there trying to throw 80 plus in that kind of weather.
You're a Bismarck native. What is the coldest game you can remember playing?
Oh, this probably goes back to when I think this was probably our first year as a varsity.
Okay.
We were playing down in the border battle, and this was one of the first times that we had been on a field as a team, and we were playing in Harrisburg, and that's when Kason Borkart came in, like the first time I ever saw him play, essentially. He's out there in short sleeve, no undershirt even under his jersey, just a jersey top. And that was probably one of the colder games that I can ever remember being a part of.
Wow.
So as far as a coach, we played a triple header in Omaha against Bellevue at one point in time. And that was miserable as well, cold and rainy, and that was
triple header.
We played a triple header in college. Yeah, got to get those games in when you can. So.
Were you catching that day?
I did.
Yeah, all of it.
caught one, took one off, and then caught the last one. So that's just the nature of the beast when you play spring baseball up in the north.
Now here's my radical thought. I'm curious. What if we started now? You know, your first day of practice isn't March 20th. It's April 1, and we go to the second week of June. Would there be traction from your other EDC coaches on this and guys out in the WDA about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that as coaches. You know, we have our annual EDC coaches meeting. We have our annual state meeting of coaches at the state tournament. It's something that's been brought up. I just don't know, you know, as far as some of the legalities with athletes playing when school is out of session, especially in West Fargo. You know, we're done with school on May 21st. So we could potentially, if we were to push it back, be 3, possibly 4 weeks playing, you know, when we are out of school. So that would kind of change things a little bit as far as some of the restrictions we would have on practice times and travel and all those limitations. But as far as weather is concerned, you know, we've never really been able to play in March, obviously, unless it's kind of a rarity. So I think it would be for the better if we could do that, but obviously it would be pushback from the Legion programs in the state, just because they're trying to get their season started too. So maybe there could be some sort of compromise where we start a week or two later and, you know, not try and step on the toes of the Legion program, but it would benefit the high school program big time if we were able to do that.
I always feel, Quinn, for the spring sport athletes, they just have to have everything compressed. Like you mentioned in college, you had to play a triple header. That's not fair. You know, the fall athletes never have to worry about that. Why does spring always get hosed is what I always come back to.
Yeah, for sure. And that's just, like I said, part of the difficulty of playing baseball up in this part of the country is that you just don't have a lot of predictability in what the weather is going to be like. And you just kind of got to adapt to it and understand that both teams have to play through it and, you know, make the most of it. So hence why we planted about 75 trees around our baseball park. So when I'm old and gray and retired, then we can enjoy watching the game with all that wind block down there.
Tell me about this year's team. Obviously high expectations, knowing on the outside what you had back. What is it like here for the Hawks in 2025, knowing that everybody's probably looking at your team saying, boy, they're going to be the ones that maybe can win this thing and might not come the end of May?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting for sure, just being that, you know, you look at this year's senior class, we have 11 seniors on our 17-man roster. You know, so they've kind of taken their lumps. This was the group that when they were freshmen, they started our first varsity team. So they've definitely taken their lumps at that first year, but they've also understood that, you know, as they've gotten bigger, faster, stronger, been able to get that experience playing at the varsity level, that, you know, they can play with the best of them, and not only the EDC, but in the state. So now it's kind of our time to maybe go improve that a little bit, that, you know, we can maybe put a name out there for ourselves. And we haven't played, you know, up to our ability, I'd say, in the postseason the last couple of years. I mean, we made it to the state tournament, but probably not the result that this team realistically should be with how we are on paper. No, just a lot of guys up and down the lineup that can do some damage at the plate. We got a very deep pitching staff, but we also have a mix of some sophomores that are getting their first taste of varsity, and so that's great to see them out there, you know, between Sioux Falls and playing in some of our conference games this week. So we have a good mix, and the kids do really well with each other as far as just supporting each other and, you know, understanding what the role is on the team.
How have you seen Kaysen handle things differently? You were last on when he committed to Oregon. So how has he handled things since life changed for him 6 months ago?
I mean, if no one knew that he was committed to Oregon baseball, you would still – it's the same player that he was his sophomore year and his junior year, that he approaches every day that he's going to do what he can to get himself better. You know, and him and I have talked a little bit about, you know, he made some adjustments with his swing, a few different grips he's been working on as far as his changeup and his breaking ball. So he's always looking for things that are going to make his game better and what he's going to do to elevate that. So that's been really fun to see. And he's off to a great start. Obviously last night he, you know, hit 3 out over at Youngfield against West Fargo. And I mean, it's really fun to just watch him go and compete, because he just, he loves to play the game. He loves to, you know, represent our program. He does so in a great manner. So it's been really fun to watch him. And like I said, not only is he one of the most talented players in our program, he's probably one of the most hardworking as well.
How much are you just sitting back and enjoying this, saying, hey, I've got like 2 more months to enjoy it and just soaking it in?
Oh, that's the great thing too, is that this is, now that we have kind of gotten to this point where we have a pretty large senior class, and they've kind of been able to enjoy it a little bit more, maybe play with a little less pressure on themselves. And that's something I've always kind of challenged them with, is being able to play loose and being able to play going to win the game and not playing to lose. Essentially, they were sometimes playing timid or trying to, play in a way that they're not going to make mistakes. So now they're out there, playing in a way that is competitive and loose, but it's really fun and tons of energy in the dugout. And yeah, it's fun to be around. So they're a really great group of kids.
Sorry, I got an email to ask you about going back to Kaysen. Is it legit chance that he could hit and pitch at Oregon, or are they going to make him choose one or the other?
In my conversation with him, one of the reasons that he chose Oregon between some of the other schools that were talking to him is because they want him to be a two-way. They want him to both to pitch and hit because they see potential. I mean, he, last night I would say he threw against West Fargo and he was upper 80s, maybe got into the low 9s, and just his ability to drive runners in, hit the ball at an extremely high level, with barrel contact, and that's one of the things that was attractive to him, is that he wanted to both pitch and hit. So
are games when he throws, Quinn, are there more people there? Do you notice, he's going, there's more people in attendance?
I definitely notice more people asking me now, like, when it's in subtle passing at school or whatever. It's like, when's Borkhardt throwing? Because then they'll see a few more students that maybe wouldn't be at a game when it's 45 degrees, but they're out there because they want to go watch Kaysen throw. Because he's fun to watch. It's the ball just pops out of his hand, and it's pretty cool. So cool that I get to kind of sit back and watch him go to work.
What's the hardest throwing pitcher you ever caught? Who would that be?
Oh, that's a great question. There's a few guys that I caught when I was with the Red Hawks. We had a closer. Can't think of his. I think it was Sermo was his last name, but I caught him on a rehab assignment when we had lost out of college, the national tournament. The next weekend, I went to Fargo and did kind of like a tryout with Coast and their whole front office staff. And I remember getting into the cage. I'm going to catch him on field, and Coast looks at me and he goes, "If you can catch this guy, you can catch anybody." I think the first pitch he threw was like 97, then 98, and he kept on ramping it up. And this is a rehab assignment, so he could get into the triple digits pretty easily. So that was the hardest guy that I ever caught.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you caught Kaysen?
I mean, at practice once in a while, if a catcher's over in the cages, I'll go in there and I still bring my glove to practice or whatever if they need a guy. So it's fun, and I like it too, because then I get to give them a little bit of feedback when I'm behind the plate, and I can see a little bit of, does his ball have some arm side run? Is it cutting? Is it sinking? Whatever the pitch is doing, it kind of give a little bit of some corrective feedback in that form, just like I did when I was catching in college and with Fargo, that you can kind of give that direct feedback of what you're seeing right behind the plate.
When you were with the Red Hawks, was there anybody like, wow, I have no idea where this is going? Like when the guy was on the mound, has anybody come to mind? You don't have to name names.
No, I will name names. There was a guy that I caught. His name was Benji Waite. He was a power sinker pitcher, and he didn't throw all that hard. I mean, he was probably in the low 90s, but his ball came in like a bowling ball, and it was either going to cut or have some arm side run, but then sink on top of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he was an extremely difficult guy to catch because he was max effort every pitch. To quote Bob Uecker, I did a lot more chasing than catching when I was behind the plate with him. So, man, he was tough.
That's a great story. I have to ask, by the way, for people that don't know, in a former life, you played hockey. When's the last time you put the skates on?
Oh, I think the last time I laced up the skates was some Bismarck High School alumni game. I'll go back in, because my brother and my cousins, they all played at Bismarck High, and my uncle as well. So we try to have an Irey line, get out there and play in the alumni game. But no, I have not laced them up in quite a while. But now that I have two little girls at home, it's going to be a battle between if they're going to be hockey players or basketball players.
Oh, okay. Well,
hopefully get them on the right track to put on the skates.
So you can brag, though. I remember your Bismarck team when you guys won the state title, it was the first time in, 20 years that a West team won. What do you remember about that when you guys winning that in 2014?
I just remember the group of seniors that we had, because a lot of us were multi-sport athletes playing hockey and baseball. And we had been to the state tournament all 4 years for hockey, and we had never been able to get past that first round. So that was kind of the more nerve-wracking game for us, is like we've lost in the quarterfinals in overtime, double overtime, triple overtime to Grafton my junior year. We just could not find a way to get past that first round game. And once we got past that, I was like, okay, we're smooth sailing now. Even in the championship game, we had, 3 different guys that were in the hospital the day of because they had food poisoning. So our starting goalie had an IV about 2 hours, before the game. He had an IV drip going. So those are things that you remember, but no, just that group, because then we were able to go out and win, state high school baseball and state legion that year. So we just were very close group, and still talk to a lot of those guys as well.
Especially winning it in Grand Forks against, was it Central that year? I can't remember.
It was Grand Forks Central.
That was pretty darn cool. It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. I hope you get to play on Monday, and we'll catch up later in the year, okay?
Sounds good, Dom. Thanks for having me on.
Good to see you, bud. There he is, Quinn Irey, head coach of the Horace Hawks baseball team, off to an unbeaten start in the EDC. Scheduled to play Monday against Davies. Next weekend, heading out to Minot for a tournament out there to preview the Class A tournament, which you'll see live on our networks at the end of next month, is in Minot. Class A softball out there as well. The Class B returns to Jamestown this year, and of course we'll have coverage of that, of soccer, and of tennis to wrap up the North Dakota high school spring sports season about 5-6 weeks from now to wrap up the year. We're going to wrap up the show. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things and get you ready for a great sports weekend. Hot Mike concludes after this on WDAY Extra. All right, wrapping things up here on a Friday. Real quick, just a great shout out to all of our viewers and listeners. I think we even picked up some more this week, which is fantastic to keep growing this thing as we go along. I think people came to the show. Cory Provus was talking to me about it off air before we started our segment about, hey, I saw you were in the news. Like, well, it wasn't me that was in the news. I was talking about the news, but I'm really appreciative of the people that reached out over the last few days that watched our segments, listened to them, and decided to stick around. We do this every day. It might not be as lively as what we discussed to start the week, but we like to have some fun around here, and we're not going to shy away from stuff like that. I find that doesn't make me better, and I think for our viewing and listening audience, it does. That's what they deserve. It's not all rainbows and sunshine, and for those that accuse me of being a Bison homer of green and gold colored glasses here, we're going to talk about stuff that matters and talk about stuff that is happening around the area, and I appreciate Boss's support on that totally, and for people who decided to think, hey, this is something we want to enjoy each and every day. So thanks for that. Real quick, I didn't have time to get to this, so I'll just do it quickly before we get to what to watch. Yesterday, the FBS Oversight Committee recommended moving up the start of the college football season. So enjoy your final week 0. The byes are going to be part of it this year, and that's going to be the last week 0 because starting next year, the FBS and FCS season will start that final week of August, and we'll have 14 weeks to play 12 games in. Doesn't really affect the back end of the year because the college football playoff is still a mess there of going all the way almost to February. But for you NFL fans out there, in the hopes of getting to 18 games, it makes sense because now college football won't start on Labor Day, that the NFL can say, all right, we are going to start on Labor Day and go 18 weeks with 2 byes, and we're playing the Super Bowl the last Saturday or Sunday in February. Book it, because it's going to happen in the not-too-distant future. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All right, what to watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Here we go. Twins in action tonight, 7 o'clock against the Reds. If you're going, bring some layers. It's going to be chilly for that one. That's on Twins TV tonight. Hornets and the Magic, 6:30 on Amazon Prime. The winner is the 8 seed and gets Detroit in the opening round of the NBA playoffs. The Warriors and the Suns is the late game tonight. The winner of that will get Oklahoma City. Also tonight, really good softball. Alabama, Texas, 6:30 on the SEC Network. Kindred's Abby Ducher, part of her final go-around with the Crimson Tide. You can watch that tonight. This weekend, we mentioned Wolves Nuggets tomorrow on Amazon Prime at 2:30. The Wild at 4:30 on ESPN. One of my favorites of the golf year, the RBC Heritage Final Round, gets going 2 o'clock tomorrow on CBS. Our thanks to our great guests. If you missed this last night, my son was fascinated by the Mammoth in Utah. The coolest thing I've seen yet. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here on Monday.